One of the top Fox News hosts is Laura Ingraham, who hosts the Ingraham Angle every night. She is a well-known conservative American author, political analyst, and television broadcaster. In addition to her distinctive profession, she has an intriguing personal life, having solely adopted children and never being married. Let's meet Laura Ingraham's children, who is still unmarried. Maria from Guatemala. Let's begin with Maria Caroline Ingraham, Laura Ingraham's eldest child, who has grown to be a role model in her own way. Their journey, which started in a tiny Guatemalan orphanage, has developed into one of love, tenacity, and purpose. Maria was born in Guatemala on May 11, 2005, but her early years were characterized by loss because she was left an orphan as a baby. When Laura Ingraham, who was already well known in conservative media, came to take her home when she was just 3 years old, her life was irrevocably altered. Ingraham has called the journey to Guatemala, which changed her life, one of the most significant experiences of her life. She recalled the moment she first saw Maria, a petite 3-year-old, standing in the orphanage's doorway, holding a tiny plastic bag that held everything she owned. She described the adoption as the best thing I've ever done and the most incredible few days of her life. For her, the adoption was only the beginning of a journey that would change their lives together. Maria and her mother embarked on a journey of education and bonding as they adapted to life in the United States. Laura has spoken kindly about how she began studying Spanish as Maria learned English, demonstrating how they both embraced their worlds. The manner they found each other strengthened their relationship. Maria has developed into an intelligent and kind young lady throughout the years. She is now 20 years old and pursuing a nursing degree, a profession that demonstrates her compassion and commitment to helping people. Laura celebrated her daughter's high school graduation and encouraged her as she finished her first year of college by sharing snippets of her milestones. In a heartwarming moment on the Ingraham Angle, Laura revealed to Maria that her daughter would be attending Texas A&M University, marking yet another milestone in her path to freedom. In addition to her studies, Maria has shown that she is dedicated to helping others. She has given her time to youth cheering and gymnastics programs, guiding and inspiring others with the same empathy that shaped her own life. Laura Ingraham frequently calls her children her greatest blessing, despite her reputation for having strong beliefs and a powerful presence on television. Her role as a mother displays a softer, deeply personal side. And her notion that family transcends biology is demonstrated by her relationship with Maria. Laura and Maria have created a life based on appreciation and development via faith, love, and tenacity. Laura then adopted her second child from Russia a few years later. Russia's Michael. As the first of Laura Ingraham's 2 boys and her second adoptive child, Michael Dmitry Ingraham is very dear to her. Michael was born in Russia on June 1, 2008, and his story is one of love and tenacity that cut across boundaries and political unrest. He was just 13 months old when Laura started the adoption procedure. He was a young youngster who had no idea how big the voyage was. However, Ingraham, who had previously adopted her Guatemalan daughter, Maria, desired to grow her family once more. But it wasn't as simple as it seemed to bring Michael home. Growing political tension between the US and Russia in the late 2000s made international adoptions even more challenging. Ingraham had to deal with lengthy wait times, political red tape, and bureaucratic obstacles. She remained steadfast in her resolve and strategy, nevertheless. Speaking during an interview, she recalled how annoyed she was to see kids entangled in global conflicts. The children should never be used as bargaining chips by one nation against another. They're not commodities. Ingraham said that the adoption's final approval was one of the most emotional times of her life. Adoption first and foremost needs to be about the children, what's best for them. She saw the same spark of purpose and hope in her son that had drew her to motherhood years later when she traveled to Russia to meet him for the first time. She felt a connection to him just by holding him in her arms. At the age of 17, Michael has developed into a bright and inquisitive young man throughout the years. Michael was characterized by those familiar with the Ingraham family as vivacious, compassionate, and determined. All of these characteristics reflect both his own independent personality and his mother's tenacity. He also has a strong interest in sports, particularly basketball and soccer, and he frequently takes part in extracurricular activities at school and in the community, which reflects his gregarious personality. Laura typically talks about her kid with delight and admiration, keeping a lot of his life private to keep him out of the spotlight. She has referred to Michael as the lifeblood of their home, saying that his presence has balanced their family and brought laughter. After that, she returned to Russia with Nikolai, her third child. Russian Nikolai. The third youngster to go from the cold streets of Moscow to Laura Ingram's family home in the United States is Nikolai Peter Ingram. She has experienced quiet bravery, surprising beginnings, and settling into a loving multicultural family. Nikolai was adopted by Laura Ingraham in 2011 at the age of 1 year after being born in Russia in 2010. A new chapter in her life would begin as a result of this choice. It was the third adoption in 3 years when Laura welcomed Nikolai home, following his brother from Russia and sister from Guatemala. The family's heterogeneous fabric was enhanced by Nikolai. He was the youngest of his siblings, born in Russia, and was getting used to the sounds, rhythms, and rituals of his new home, which his single mother had meticulously constructed. Nikolai, who will be around 15 in 2025, represents a turning point. He is still exploring and old enough to think. Music, his mother just said that he likes swimming and keeps him out of the public eye. She has given Nikolai a foundation to grow in silence and pursue his own interests by keeping him out of the public eye. Laura Ingraham never married and is still a single mother despite having 3 children. Unlike other conservatives, she has been in a number of relationships and was even engaged once, but she doesn't appear interested in getting married. Engagement and relationships. Although Laura Ingram's private life has always remained private, her personal life has long made news. Despite this, she has had a few public relationships, but none of them have resulted in marriage. Her engagement in 2005 was one of her relationships that caught our attention at the time. Ingraham met fellow conservative commentator Desh D'Souza while attending Dartmouth College and reading the Dartmouth Review in the early 1980s. They were drawn together by their common political and journalistic interests, and although none of them acknowledged it, there were rumors that they were getting engaged. But despite their infatuation, their friendship lasted. Ingraham wrote a statement defending D'Souza in 2014 when he was facing legal issues, describing him as one of the best people he had ever known. In April of 2004, Ingraham declared her engagement to businessman James V. Reyes. According to reports, the two had met on a blind date, and the engagement appeared to mark a turning point in her life. However, Ingraham received a breast cancer diagnosis and had surgery and therapy just as the wedding preparations were coming together. The diagnosis interfered with the engagement as well as her health. She later said in public that there was no news of them getting back together and that the wedding would no longer take place. Ingraham has often discussed how her life, priorities, music, and future goals were altered by the experience of receiving a cancer diagnosis and undergoing treatment. The 2005 engagement is therefore a crucial event. It was more than just a love turning point, it was a turning point that affected the course of her family and personal life. Ingraham has also been connected to other famous people throughout the years, such as journalist Keith Olbermann and former U.S. Senator Robert Torricelli. Despite the fact that neither of those relationships was confirmed in detail, it is evident that Ingraham had made significant changes to her music focus by the time she accepted parenthood through the adoption of her 3 children, Michael and Nikolai from Russia in later years and Maria from Guatemala in 2008. Ingraham said that she values traditional institutions and the importance of family, but she also admitted that her own path did not follow the typical married with children paradigm. Rather, family can take many different shapes, she noted. She recalls her experience with breast cancer and how she overcame the obstacle by herself as she continues to raise her 3 children. The journey of breast cancer. Laura Ingraham's life abruptly and profoundly changed in April 2005, long before she adopted her children. During a normal physical examination, a lump in her breast was found. What began as a brief period of discomfort turned into a life-altering obstacle when the child was 4 years old. An aggressive type of invasive ductal carcinoma was identified in her. She underwent the first of 2 procedures within a week of receiving the diagnosis. An important element in her favor is that early testing following the initial procedure revealed that the cancer had not progressed to her lymph nodes. Chemotherapy was the following stage after surgery. She underwent radiation therapy after 6 weeks of treatment, which she finished at the end of October 2005. Ingraham talked about relying a lot on her family, her faith, and the steadfast support of friends and listeners during the process. She once said that she felt the awe-inspiring flow of encouragement from people around the nation and the power, music, of prayer, but she refused to accept the victim label. Ingraham says that the event wasn't unique to her and likes to speak to it as Thor, music, rather than survivor. It made her rethink her life goals. She persevered through her cancer because of that mentality. In interviews, she discussed how the battle against cancer helped her gain perspective, hone her sense of direction, and make her re-evaluate her priorities. She also claimed that life after cancer might be better than life before illness, saying, "It was an awful time, but a glorious time at the same time." Following her treatment, she came to terms with her desires and made the decision to become a mother by adopting her children. She has also given public talks about using music to test for breast cancer. She was inspired to raise children, gain independence, and construct her own home by the experience. She has mostly kept many of the medical facts under wraps, focusing instead on the lessons she learned from the experience. In her words, she wanted to be remembered as the mother or friend who just so happened to have breast cancer, not because she had the disease. After receiving treatment, she made the decision to become a mother and later became well known for supporting adoption. Encourage adoption that is apolitical. Music, Laura Ingraham has established herself as a well-known conservative media presence. Her advocacy for adoption, however, is one of her most significant initiatives. She exploits her position as a single mother of 3 adopted children from abroad to promote the notion that adoption should be motivated by homemaking and love rather than politics. She became aware of the challenges of adopting children and the effects it had on the child while she was attempting to adopt from Russia, music. She has stated that the children should be the primary focus of adoption. Children should never be used as leverage in international negotiations. Music, they're not goods. With such remarks, she discusses what she perceives to be basic injustice when bureaucratic stalemates or geopolitical games ensnare worldwide adoption. She has first-hand knowledge of the difficulties, having adopted children from Russia and Guatemala. Ingraham assisted in the start of projects like the Adopt a New Attitude project during her campaign work, which aimed to increase awareness of the human cost of the Russian government's prohibition on adoptions by American families. She added that the children who were left behind due to circumstances beyond their control shouldn't be the target of diplomatic reprisals. She has expressed regret over the fact that a single incident of abuse by an adopted parent might lead to general limitations, sentencing thousands of children to live without relatives. It's actually fascinating to see how Ingraham balances her personal commitments with her public persona. She is typically blatantly political on the broadcast. But when it comes to adoption, she makes a conscious effort to distinguish this cause from her typical criticism. Adoption should transcend political differences, she adds, and children should not be used as props for international posturing in healing homes or orphanages. She once stated that it is cruel and self-centered to prevent a child of any age from being adopted into a loving, safe household. She discussed the difficulties single women have while adopting abroad because governments and agencies typically prefer 2-parent households. For the kids she took in. According to Ingraham, her goal is to create a house that is based on permanency, love, and faith. She is well known for discussing her parenting philosophy and applies the same approach to raising her kids. Philosophy of parenting. Even if Laura Ingraham is single, you will be curious about her parenting style if you meet her children. It blends her faith, conservative ideals, and the day-to-day struggles of parenting 3 children who were adopted from abroad. Her main goal is to instill independence and responsibility in her kids. It's evident from her public statements that she feels children thrive when they know what is expected of them and are taught to stand independently while maintaining a moral foundation. In essence, she consistently argues that rather than just telling kids what to think and how to behave, they should be taught to think critically and conduct morally. According to Ingraham, music, while working in a fast-paced, high-profile field, her role as a parent necessitates greater consistency and genuine connection. She talks about establishing clear guidelines, such as accountability and discipline. Her kids learn the importance of integrity, the worth of hard work, and the significance of faith. Her parenting philosophy is also influenced by her Catholic faith. She has made reference to the part Christianity plays in her family, how it gives her values a solid basis and gives her kids a sense of direction. However, she strikes a balance between autonomy and structure. In addition to following directions, Ingraham wants her kids to think critically, stick to their principles, and develop into morally upright people rather than conformists. She said, "The hardest thing I'll ever do is raising children as a single parent." She acknowledges the additional levels of responsibility and difficulty in that interaction, but she also makes her beliefs clear. Avoiding responsibilities does not equate to independence. She also incorporates meditation and thankfulness into her parenting approach. Although she doesn't talk about her personal life in songs, she once stated that she encourages her kids to discuss good things that happen to them during the day every night. Additionally, she encourages her kids to embrace and share their many cultures within the family rather than avoiding them. Music. In addition to her parenting abilities, Laura talks a lot about her Christian beliefs, faith, and motherhood. She also has a deep love for both. Laura Ingraham's decision to adopt and the way she raises her children are both influenced by her Roman Catholic faith, music, which is closely linked to her journey as a mother. After investigating her spiritual path in her early adulthood, she became a Catholic. As a single mother of 3, Ingraham frequently attributes her life to her faith. Motherhood is Ingraham's calling. She has talked about how her desire to have children predates her adoptions and how her 2005 cancer diagnosis motivated her to take action. She has acknowledged that her faith gave her courage throughout the most trying times as she has embraced the burden of being a single mom. She reflected on Mother's Day, saying, "That's the most important thing for me, my Catholic faith. So without that, I think everything would be very, very difficult for me." She uses faith to guide her children's morals, character, and purpose in their home. She also highlights virtues that she learned while growing up in a religious home, such as thankfulness, diligence, humility, and service. By doing this, she hopes to develop people who live intentionally as well as successful children. "I want to be the best mother I can be," she says. "I want my children to grow up to be self-sufficient, resilient, content, and as ready as possible for life in all its facets." Despite her well-known career, Ingraham maintains her parenting based on regular religious practice, music, that promotes thankfulness, introspection, and a mindset based on accountability rather than entitlement. Laura Ingraham is a prominent Fox News anchor and a conservative hero despite her turbulent personal life. Career as a symbol of conservatism. Laura Ingraham, music, has established a career that blends media-savvy influence with incisive conservative commentary. She has established herself as a leader in right-of-center American television thanks to her remarkable ascent. She entered the media with a distinct edge, having worked as a speechwriter during the Reagan administration and as a law clerk for a justice on the U.S. Supreme Court. The first significant phase of her public voice began when she entered talk radio. In 2001, she started The Laura Ingraham Show, creating a platform that allowed her viewpoints to reach a national audience. Listeners who enjoyed her conservative comments found resonance in the show's coverage of social, political, and cultural issues. She began working as a contributing speechwriter for Fox News Channel in 2007. She also took over her own primetime television slot with the Ingraham Angle starting October 2017. The program is well known for combining critical analysis, conservative viewpoints, and insightful interviews. In addition to her media presence, she has had the ability to influence and mirror the U.S. conservative movement as a whole. She addresses issues like immigration, free change debates, cultural transformation, and federal regulation. Since Laura Ingraham is still single, you have now met her children. She has a distinct outlook on life and raises her 3 children with love, faith, and responsibility. Do you believe Ingraham will marry or just adopt more kids? Please share your opinions in the comments section.